Okay. So, hi YouTube. I'm Sean. You know me. This is my channel. But I want to introduce my buddy Sam the Man Cologne. He is just this incredibly wise mentor, very successful in real estate, now branching off into a coaching arm of his business and personal brand. Has an awesome podcast, which I highly recommend checking out. Um, and yeah, I mean, it's hard to actually summarize what he does because he knows a ton. And part of why we're here now is that he's the guy I've been ghostwriting that book for. If you're seeing this, you've probably heard me tease that a little bit already. But ultimately, I wanted to record this little intro with Sam just to tell you a little bit more about the project, what to expect from the clips coming forward, and yeah, just why we're both so excited about this and want the world to know about it. So, Sam, anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, first of all, I want to start off by saying what's going on, people. And second is I am super excited. I'm so excited. Look, put it like this. I'm so excited after our session today. Sean is saying like, well, let's do something. Let's do something for YouTube on our next session, um, so that we can let them know what we've been working on. I'm like, why wait?
Yep.
Why wait? Let's do it right now. And he's like, well, let me check with White first. I'm like, yeah, absolutely. Check with White first. Comes back like, we're good. Let's rock and roll. Let's do this. So I just what I want to share and exude to the listeners is like there's an immense amount of excitement behind this because of the fact of how beautifully it's coming along. Like the fact that someone like me that uh, I have so much to share, and finding the time and honestly the space to sit down and start typing everything out, it's been a challenge, and like the fact that we cross paths, how we cross paths was very always very interesting. The connections, and how we decided like, okay, let's work on this, let's do this together, and then seeing how it's coming together, how us having this conversation of, I don't want to give too much here because I don't know exactly how much we want to share, but the point is
Sure.
like it is, so far the process is coming out beautifully. Very excited.
Yeah. Yeah. So let's dive in a little bit into what the actual product is. So the working title for the book, I guess we could share this, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Working title is Beyond Belief. Uh, Hang on, I forget the subtitle. We also kind of still workshopping that,
I
but
think I think the subtitle we're still working on right now, especially the way the book is actually like unraveling.
yeah, and we'll get to that in a second too. But yeah, so working title is Beyond Belief, some sort of subtitle. But actually, part of how we land on that title, which actually came out of our first conversation, was this is in many ways a book about spirituality and personal development and how those two overlap and integrate, but in a way that is very, 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 very approachable. That was actually one of the first things I really appreciated about Sam when we first started talking is that he's got these like, I mean, incredible experiences more than anything, but like very big awareness, very big ideas, which is great. But the problem I see oftentimes with people in that space is that it can be very hard to bring it down to earth, where most people can understand it and make use of it. Um, and frankly, even with Sam's, first set of notes, I was like, okay, I can tell the magic is in here, right? I know that he's got the touch, but like it's we gotta bring it down from the clouds somehow. Um and it took us a few conversations and stabs at it to kind of like find our groove. But what was wild to me is actually when we decided like, okay, yes, we're gonna go ahead and move forward with the project. It was literally the first day of recording. We'll talk about the actual process in a second because I think you also find it interesting. But the first day of recording, he sends me the notes like the night before, and I'm looking at these notes. I'm like, this is a totally different book than we talked about in a good way. Much much more autobiographical, brings in so much more of Sam's own story, um, which includes some heavy, challenging stuff. And like as I'm looking at it, I'm like, oh my God, we have to do this. I can't walk away at this point, right? Like this book has to exist. And the thing that so impresses me about Sam is, for one, the courage to be that vulnerable and to go back and share these things. But what I am loving so much about this process, and you guys will get to see this, is like the wisdom comes through in the stories. There's the longer we work on this, we realize like we don't need to comment on it much. It's just right there. In my mind, that is the key to like I said, bringing these things down from the clouds and making it accessible to an ordinary person, right? Like when you see what he's actually lived and see how he experienced these things, it's like, oh, okay, now I get it. Um, Sam, anything you want to toss in on that?
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like the thing that that sticks out the most out of everything that you just shared is taking it from the clouds and bringing it down to earth, right? And so like there's this saying that goes something along like this, like you're so heavenly minded that you're no earthly good, right?
Yep, yep,
And it's just very interesting because as like people go through their own path, their own version of whatever you want to call it, awakening or self-understanding, self-awareness, whatever it is you want to call it. But the point is that having that navigation of self, right? That self-navigation, like some people lose themselves in that.
yeah,
And not lose themselves in a way where they're finding themselves. No, no, they're losing themselves even more. Why? Because they're so up in the clouds that they're no earthly good, right? And so that's one of the things that I realized in my journey that like it's all the woo woo and foo foo, like it's beautiful. I guess the thinking about it like in theory, right?
right, right,
When you think about it in theory, like, oh, that's great, that's beautiful. Oh yes, I feel so good. But the truth is, can you apply it to life?
right,
Do you even see the magic in your life now? Right? Because the truth is that life is magical. It's a beautiful thing. But it's like we look at magic as this thing as like so far out that it's only on the Disney Channel. Right?
right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yep, yes.
But if we actually like sit down and actually like process it and see it in the day to day, we realize that magic is nothing but ignorance.
Mm. Hmm. Yeah, very
You're
true.
ignorant to the your own capabilities. You know, you're ignorant to your own capabilities. You're ignorant to what it is that you're living in. You're ignorant. You don't know. So to you, oh, this is all magic, right? There's one thing that I like to say is like either people believe in miracles. I believe in miracles, right? But the thing is like it's either everything's a miracle or nothing's a miracle,
Hmm.
right? And
Yep.
it's like you have to understand that, like because if not, like you get so caught up in like the oh and the e, and you forget what it is that you're here to do, what you're here to live, what is it that you reflect and you represent in this earthly realm. And so, like yes, like as you're saying that, like yeah, it's about taking these things that are up in the clouds and actually grounding it so it is practical. Because the truth is that we all need a little guidance here and there. But if you have somebody that you actually see, like, oh, wait a minute, this big idea of what spirituality or consciousness is brought down into a simple conversation. Now you can process it. You know, we talked about this. I was sharing with you last week about um, understanding the self in levels and understanding that you know the part of that your brain needs to be satisfied, right? You need to
Hmm.
understand that your brain has a functionality, and you understand that you can satisfy it. And when you satisfy the mind, how it's processing to protect you and guide you, then now you can drop down into the spirit. Now, because now your mind is not blocking you. People talk about
Yep.
the ego and this, but listen, you have it here for a reason.
Hmm.
God wouldn't give you a brain and mind here if you didn't need it. Learn how to
Yep.
use it. Learn how to work with it. Learn how to satisfy it. Learn how to have a mutual relationship between mind, body, and spirit. And when you do, that's when the practicality comes in. That's when you start to see everything like, oh, this big old spiritual idea is actually, I'm living it already. You know?
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of stuff I love, and I'm always trying to tease out of people. And so as far as like our workflow, it's funny actually because at the top of this, because we just recorded the our session for chapter 4 right before this, and you had said you were reading chapter 3, loving it, and you're like, and this is still 85% AI, right? and I'm going to actually modify that to say that it's really 80%, ultimately 100% Sam. Because what we're doing
Mm,
here is taking these recordings where it's like I'm kind of keeping track of like where we are in the timeline, what the kind of core like story beats and messages we want to work in are. But then I just let Sam riff. And like oftentimes, I mean, literally like today was like I gave him that first little starter and he talked for like a solid hour with like a few little like questions here and there for me. And then I kind of come back to like mop up like, okay, can we go back and fill in this piece and this piece and this piece? But ultimately it's all Sam's voice. Then what I do is I take the transcript from the call, I feed it into Claude in this case. I have some kind of specific techniques for how I'm prompting it as far as like turning that into like written prose, like in a book. And then I go through and there's like little tiny, tiny adjustments that I make manually just based on my experience as a writer. But ultimately, like I said, it's 80% just straight out of Sam's mouth. And but put made to look like a book, right? Put in the shape of a book, which I think is um, easier said than done, right? I'm able to do it because of my, experience, but it's one of those things. Again, I see people a lot of times, frankly, even other ghostwriting operations that have kind of a similar workflow. Um, you can still see the seams sometimes. And what I love about this is like, I mean, I've already had moments just going through this. I'm like, I would read this book. Like,
mm.
if a stranger handed to me and said like, hey, check this out, I would start reading and get engrossed and finish the whole thing happily.
That- That's
Obviously, I am biased, right? But I'm also a pretty
yeah,
honest
yeah, yeah.
judge.
But listen. I'm gonna give you something. I think your family could be your biggest critic, right?
Yes, true.
Like you would think that your kids will be on your side, right? But from my experience, my kids are my biggest critic. I have six of them, right? I got from the age of 20 down to the age of 5. Right? My 14-year-old, we're in the kitchen, right? We got five. You had sent me chapter 1. I had
Yep.
finished reading, and I told wifey, I'm like, hey, babe, look, check out chapter 1. She's like, oh, send it to me. I'll read it later. So I sent it to her. Now my 14-year-old's in the kitchen with us, and she's like, let me read that. I'm like, okay, cool. I gave it to her. Right. So she's sitting in the counter, and I forgot what me and my wife are doing. We're preparing either like a late lunch, right? And so we're working in the kitchen, whatever. And then I turned around and I see that she's in it. Like she's locked in, dude. Right. And so she's reading whatever. And I just give her space, whatever, blah, blah, finish. We sat down, we start eating. And then she turns around and she's like, I would read this book. I would read this book. That's what she said. I'm like, getting her to say that, I know that at that point, I knew we were on the right track. Like, because your kids, at least my kids, could be your biggest freaking critics. When they're teenagers, man, they will tear your ass up.
Very true.
Yeah. And so, the fact that she's like, I would read this book. Like, and she was like, when's the next chapter coming? Like, I'm like, yes, we're definitely on the right path here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
That's my first time hearing that story. So thank you.
Yeah. I didn't
Yeah,
share that with Sean before. I did.
yeah.
Yeah. The other thing is that I want to say is that even when I read the first chapter, because like you were saying before about the formatting of a book, right? Like I can talk it out and whatever, and it could somebody could type it all up or whatever, but it has to be formatted like a book, and the sequence of the conversation has to be formatted as a book. And the thought for me of it being AI that's putting it together, and of course, obviously with your prompts and your structure in there, but when I read it and I'm like, that sounds like my conversation with you, like
Yeah.
literally. Like there were quotes, there was things that I say, how I say it, and I'm like, this is some good shit. That's why I hit you back. I hit you up like, what is this like all AI or did you interject? And you're like, nah, man, it's like 85 AI. I have 15% me touching on, ultimately 100% Sam. Like that,
Right.
basically what you were saying. Then you're like, as long as what makes me more excited, this is what you said. What makes me more excited is that it's keeping Sam's voice. And that's the key there. Because AI, anybody nowadays could write a book with AI. But that personal voice, that personal perspective, that personal touch, AI can't do that, can't give it. So making sure that your voice is being kept is the key. And that's what I saw you light up. you're like, it's
Yeah.
Sam's voice, and that's what this is about. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's because I know now that we're talking about the AI piece of it, I know there's a certain kind of listener that is like, well, then why use AI at all? Why even talk about it? And the reason why is that I think genuinely that this is the biggest opportunity that AI actually provides for the kind of work I want to do for people like us, where it's not about slop, it's not about having the AI churn out like reams and reams of words that no one wants to read, right? For some mysterious marketing purpose. It's taking people with incredible stories and wisdom to share and giving them a megaphone, right? That's how I see this. Because and frankly, even from my point of view, I have like historically been kind of resistant to ghostwriting, um, because ultimately I just don't think it's like the best leveraged activity personally from a business perspective, for me. But two things change that in the case of Sam. One is just that Sam agreed to be able to do stuff like this and be open about the process, which is rare, right? Usually people don't do that. Um, but as soon as I was like, okay, well, that's cool that I can kind of spread the word and share what I'm doing. But then also, once I ran my first few tests of using AI, which were not perfect at first, it actually, there were still some kinks ironed out, but even then I could see like, well, wait a second, this is preserving Sam's voice beautifully. And this is so much faster than if I were to do it manually, which is supposed to be the whole promise of AI, right? But
Hmm.
like that's where I'm like, okay, this is actually worth pursuing. And this is the kind of work I'm open to doing more of because it's like if I can keep up this speed and keep up all the other irons in the fire that I have, right? Um, then that changes. That whole equation changes, and I'm like, you know what? I really got to pursue this. I really got to look into this. And so here we are. And also too, like I, I'm a big believer that writing is so much more than just the words on the page. And it is ultimately more than just the act of typing or even the act of scribbling, right? It's how you structure stories in the mind. It's how you articulate the message, even before it gets to the page. And in my mind, like all of that is perfectly intact. If anything, this whole process is letting us focus on that in a way that would be in some ways tougher if we had to do this all manually. So, um, the human voice, this is a megaphone for the human voice. Everything comes down to the human voice. That is the thing I champion and fight for. So, like I said, this is a really cool, fun experiment for me so far, and I'm just so excited to see where it goes next.
Yeah, yeah. But you know what, too, Sean? I want to also give you credit too, because like you also position and prompt me and my mind to be able to go through this storyline in a way where it is preserving my voice and it's actually capturing the story the way it should be. And so the one thing that you did from the very beginning was that we reviewed that the wheel,
Ah,
right?
yes, that'll be a future
Yeah,
clip, the story wheel.
yeah,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So we reviewed the wheel, and when we went through the wheel, I'm like, it clicked for me, like it makes sense. And so like it's not like I'm trying, right? It's not like I'm trying to keep the wheel, but the fact that that's already in there,
Right.
it's in the tank now, you know?
Hmm.
And so now when I'm saying the story, it's automatically like going through these ebbs and flow as the wheel is it's um, prompt me from the very beginning, right? So
Yeah.
I just want to add that piece too, because I know sometimes, you know, and I'm not saying this like to speak ill of anyone, but I just know that sometimes people could put things out there to make it seem like, oh my gosh, like it's like you just do it and you do nothing. Like I want to make sure that like the element of understanding the journey is needed, and you bring that to the table by starting off from the very beginning, like Sam, this wheel right here, this is the journey, right? And so like
Yeah.
now my mind is like, I see. And once we hit the flow, we hit the flow running. And now I see it back. That's the interesting part because I'm not trying. It's already in it. And as I'm reading it, I see the wheel. I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
Nice. I like this.
Yep.
And even and the other thing is, I think something about uh, that's powerful in this experience. I mean, this is the first book that we're writing, and so, but me reading back the book to myself
Yeah.
and feeling myself in that book, I'm like, it's capturing, like you said, it's preserving Sam in those words because I can feel that version of me as I'm reading the book. I'm feeling like I'm there as I'm reading the book, and I'm like, this is powerful. So that's why I'm excited. Every time we get on the call, I'm just like, let's go. I can't wait to see
Yeah.
what comes out of this.
Me too. So cool. I had envisioned this being like a 15-minute intro. I think we're way past that, but that's totally fine. There's so much to share here. Sam and I do not run
Yeah.
short. We run long. That's kind of the nature of the thing. But cool. Any other final thoughts you want to toss in before we wrap this
Oh
one up?
no! What I want to say, I'm just excited to like continually document the journey and to share with the viewers exactly how we're doing, and also I invite, if you're okay with it, invite
Yeah.
questions. You know, so
Oh,
this way,
absolutely.
as
Yeah.
we're going through the process, these questions again can also be kept in mind to the viewers, to the people that are actually looking forward to see what this journey turns out like. So I'm open to that as well, and I'm just giving that invitation. You know.
Yeah, totally. I'll somewhere below this video will be the best way to get in touch with me. All right. I don't even I mean I technically have a YouTube channel I haven't been touching. I'll probably dig that one up for this, but wherever this ends up, look below this video and you will know how to find me, where else to find me. And we can continue the conversation there. But in the meantime, thanks for joining us. This is going to be so much fun. I'm really, really excited to show you what we have so far. And you'll be obviously first to know when the book itself is ready and what that looks like. That'll be a whole different leg of the journey. But for now, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.
Much love. Peace.